So tired. I have a few. That car needs to turn off its brights. Because man, oh man, I'm blinded by the lights. Can they be any brighter? I'm going around me to love's gas station. I'm kidding. Joking. Alright. I am not. Alright. I got the free ball. Alright. Made it to the gas station. I'm gonna put some fuel, so I'll be quiet for a little bit. sorry it took long. I had to put some fuel, get some cocoa. Yeah, no. Flower girl. Give me 1 second. Please work. Oh, it's not gonna work. Sucks. It's gonna be a quick ride. Let's go. I was hoping I could turn on the radio, but I can't.
And the palm and rose where the roots run deep.
Let's ride with the 18-wheelers. Let's go.
Its reputation as the siding that handles hail impact with ease. James Hardy knows how important a reputation is, especially when you're a contractor. That's why Hardy siding withstands severe weather better than vinyl siding, with styles to match its strength. So you can be sure you're providing your clients with the best. Protect your reputation with exterior products by James Hardy.
Every journey starts with a dream, and all dreams come with a price.
We are
It is an uphill climb, but with goals,
heading to
determination,
Clearfield
and
from
the right financial
Brigham
partner,
City.
there's no dream you can't reach. No peak is too high. So what are you saving for? Share your dream with us for a chance to win $1,000. Start saving with Bank of Utah today.
Visit bankofutah.com to enter. No purchase necessary. Eligible and restrictions apply. See website for official rules and details. Member FDIC.
Hey there. Thanks for tuning in. You ready for another episode of my Bigfoot sighting? All right then. Let's do this.
See a bunch of windows. Let's do this. Hey, let's go. Truck.
nice spot. It's world-class fishing in British Columbia instead of where we normally fished, so we packed up his truck and we headed out into a more remote location. We found a spot we thought we'd like. We got out of the truck, got on all our hip waders and got our gear and headed into the woods, which were at the beginning walkable, but then as we progressed through into the forest, it became very thick and quite hard to walk through. But fortunately, we came across a game trail and turned towards the river. I'm a bit of a city guy, so I was very nervous about bears. I'm watching for bear scat or indications of bear. There were none. And as we got closer to the river, I started noticing things that I'd seen on the internet that involved Sasquatches. I am a big fan and always have been, such as tree structures, both big and very small, branches that were snapped at high height that made no sense, and actually a healthy tree that had been ripped right out of the ground and still had dirt in the root system. So I looked over to my buddy and I said, hey, there's no indications of bears, but from what I've seen on the internet, I think we're in Sasquatch country. He laughed at me a little bit and said, well, let's hope it's a good one. And I dismissed it. He didn't seem concerned, so we went and started fishing in the Adams River. For about 2 hours, we hadn't had any action whatsoever. And then finally, just over the sound of the river, I heard my buddy's voice call my name. So I looked up thinking that he'd caught a fish. But when I looked over to him, he just threw his head over towards the opposite riverbank, which caused me a little bit of alarm because I thought at that point that maybe a bear had wandered down and I hadn't caught it. And I looked over, my jaw dropped, literally, as there was no bear, but a 7 to 8 foot Sasquatch standing no more than 50 feet from me, if that. I could have thrown a baseball to him if I wanted to. And he just stood there, swaying from side to side, slowly, almost mesmerizing. It was mesmerizing the way he had swayed. It felt as if it was looking through my soul. Standing in the middle of the river, I was a bit alarmed that I couldn't run, with my first instinct. But I quickly thought that if it wanted me dead, it clearly would have killed me by now. So I decided to stand my ground and I prayed a little bit for my safety, and I kept eye contact. And as he continued to sway, I went into my hip waders pocket, hoping my camera was there, but of course I had left it on the riverbank in my backpack. This guy was amazing. He was, like I said, 78 feet tall. The muscle mass and the muscle definition was incredible. He had to have weighed at least 700 to 800 pounds. He was so huge. 4.5, 5 feet across the shoulders. Not much of a neck. He had the cone head. Didn't look like an ape, but didn't quite look human. Jet black hair, which was weird because it was easy to see the muscle definition through him. Like, this guy had a six-pack. It was so clear. His forearms were abnormally long from the elbow down. I think that's the reason why they're out there, feet go below their knees. His legs were massive. It's easy to see how they can pick up boulders and throw them great distances. He had an oddly perfect set of teeth in his mouth. You would think that an animal in the woods wouldn't have such a great set of teeth, but they were perfect. And when I say perfect, perfectly aligned. Like, there were no missing teeth. There were no gaps. There was nothing. It was just a perfect mouth. As we kept eye contact. He didn't make a sound whatsoever. And it was almost as if he was trying to make me calm, because any sense of fear disappeared quickly. As I'm looking at the Sasquatch, though, something off to the right caught my attention, and when I turned to see what it was a smaller Sasquatch with much lighter hair, of course much smaller in size, standing back about, 80 feet in the woods. The moment I broke eye contact with the original Sasquatch, the scariest, most blood-curdling growl came out of the Sasquatch, making me so afraid that I immediately looked right back into the eyes, and at which point he stepped down off an embankment about 5 feet down to the riverbank. And at that moment I thought, okay, now he's coming, so I was gonna jump into I was gonna lower into the river and allow the water to fill my hip waders, because I would have much rather drown than get ripped apart by a Sasquatch. But all he did was drop down to one knee, and with his two massive hands, scooped up some water, drank it with a loud slurp, of course kept the eye contact with me, and when he went to grab a second drink of water, there was a loud shriek from behind him, and out of the corner of my eyes, because I wasn't breaking eye contact ever again, I saw a black blur running through the forest towards where the smaller juvenile Sasquatch was. And at that point, the old male stepped down. I clearly saw that it was a male. He stepped back up, and the whole time, keeping eye contact, stepped back up the 5 feet embankment and started walking towards the juvenile. And at one point, 3 Sasquatch came together, as a family would, so clearly it was the Sasquatch family. And they started walking away. The Sasquatch kept eye contact until they started walking into the forest. And then he looked away for a few feet, and then he looked back once where I was still standing in the river. And then when he looked away, I decided it was time for me to get out of there very quickly. So I waded out of the river and called up to my buddy and told him to wade up. It was as if they had just disappeared, because they were walking straight, and there was a long ways for them to go. And I only had them out of my sight for maybe a minute.
Every journey starts with a dream, and all dreams come with a price. Saving is
said that there was no way he was taking his eyes off the female Sasquatch that was standing on the shoreline across from him, because he was almost positive she was going to charge, because she was smacking the ground, she knocked over a tree, and she had him so scared it wasn't even funny. As we decided it was time to leave, we talked about if there was maybe some sort of, I don't know how to put it, like a contest or something for all the tourists that were in the area where these people were dressed up in Sasquatch outfits, but of course there wasn't. And I mean, it was so surreal to have been so close to a creature that so many say doesn't exist, and there he was. It was absolutely one of the most breathtaking, at first scariest, but not for long after that, moments in my life. I mean, it almost became poetic looking into this creature's eyes and knowing that it didn't kill me. which to this day still makes me wonder why so many people say that they're so violent when this guy could have destroyed me. That was my closest and undeniable experience with Sasquatch, and it has confirmed other incidences in my life where I thought maybe there might have been a Sasquatch in the area because of the tree knocks and the howling. And folks, Sasquatch is out there. People don't see them because they're just not in the right spot. Or maybe they're just not supposed to see them. I question that every day. And that's my Bigfoot sighting.
My Bigfoot sighting happened in Georgia in September of 2019. I had just picked my daughter up from school, and we were on our way back home, and decided to go home through the back way, we call it, and it's down a dirt road. And as you go down this dirt road, there's 2,000 acres on one side and 2,000 acres on the other side. It's hunting property that they use for timberland, but the hunters lease it out for deer season. So I turned down the dirt road and we're heading down. And it kind of winds around, and you go down into a valley and you cross over a creek. And as we're coming up the hill, there's a turn in the road, and the phone poles, instead of following the road, they just went ahead and cut them through the trees, because the road kind of curves around, and then the phone poles pick back up on the road on the other side. And we're just driving, 25 miles an hour, because it is a dirt road, and it's about 5 o'clock in the evening. And as we're making the turn by where the phone poles cut through the trees down there, they cut a swath probably about, I'm going to say 20 feet wide, so they can get in there and access those phone poles. Hurricane season, if a tree happened to fall on the wires or something, they got easy access to get down in there. And as we're turning that corner, those phone poles kind of go down, and then they kind of meet the road up on the other side of the hill, so they're kind of like down in the valley. I see something move, and I just hit the brakes in my truck, and I said, "Lizzie, did you see that?" And of course, she's a teenager, and she's got her headphones on or something, so she just looked at me, and I said, "Did you see that?" And she said, "What?" And I backed up, and there was a Bigfoot, Sasquatch, or as we call them here, we call them the West Georgia Pine, at 12 o'clock. So at 12 o'clock. So I said, let's drive over there and see, maybe we can get a better view of them, or maybe we can see them like around 3 o'clock or something like that. So we start moving around, and as we're starting a little bit, I see them start to move towards 3 o'clock. So we start going around, and we're trying to look through the trees and everything, and it's just thick pine trees back in there. And when we got around to 12 o'clock, we did not see anything. So I said, let's go back to 6 o'clock. So we turned around and we went back to 6 o'clock, and there was absolutely nothing there anymore. And this thing was, I would say it was probably, judging by this phone pole down there, he was probably at least 8 foot tall, just black hair, standing on 2 legs, kind of a muscular build. I mean, he would probably be a professional wrestler build, like from the WWE or something like that, if I had to describe the build of him. But you could just tell he's muscular, and I mean, when he took a stride, it was a pretty big stride. But the area that we saw him in, like I said, there's 2,000 acres on one side of the road, and 2,000 acres on the other side. And once you get past all that hunting property, there's a a 400-acre farm. I think the man has 200 acres on one side and 200 acres on the other side. Phone poles ran through the pine trees, and that creek. I've been so that would be a good place for Bigfoot, Sasquatch, or West Georgia pine apes to hang out, because there's always a water source, and that place is always loaded with turkey. And like I said before, they lease that land out to hunters. So, there's deer back in there if they're back there paying money to go hunt on somebody else's property. But that was pretty much my Bigfoot sighting.
Well, that's it for tonight's show. If you've had a Bigfoot sighting,
corner, like I said, of Arkansas. And it's real rural, very rural. It's a lot of river bottoms, a lot of hardwood timber, a lot of pine timber, a lot of paper company land, and it's just pretty much a wilderness. My old cabin's down there on that lake, and I've enjoyed it all for a long, long time. I've had it 35 years, and one morning, I was going to work as an athletic director, like I said, going to school, and it's 6:45 a.m. on a real dreary, misty December morning, right in the middle of December. We're about to get out of school for a Christmas break. As I was going down the road, I looked over in a hay meadow that was to my left, and I saw something crossing the hay meadow, and I had no idea what it was, but I knew it looked different, looked strange, looked out of place. So it was right in the middle of the hay meadow. It was about 200 to 220 yards because I stepped it off from it. And it was big. It was really, really big. So I stopped my car, or my truck, and started watching it. And it was crossing the field. The field was about a 40-acre field, so it was pretty good. And I watched it for a pretty good ways. And it was going. I said, gosh, this is really strange to me. And, I don't know what it is. But I started ruling out things I knew it wasn't. I knew it wasn't a horse. I knew it wasn't a cow. It wasn't a bear. It wasn't a goat. It wasn't a deer, a coyote, or anything like that. It was just too big and was walking upright. So I'm an avid outdoorsman, a hunter and fisherman. I do it all the time. It's time to let me. And I had a
camera, an old, I'm technologically impaired, and the camera I had was old kind, 35 millimeter. The Kodak and just clicked, and I kept it in my car and take pictures of big fish and game and stuff like that that we catch and caught. And so I took 3 pictures of this beast that was crossing the field. And I took 3 pictures, and then when it got to the end of the field, it did something that was really astonishing to me. And this is probably the most definitive thing that made me think that it was a Bigfoot. When it got to the end of the field, there was a 5-strand barbed wire fence. And when it got to that barbed wire fence, instead of, like a human pressing the wire down and trying to, cross over it, it stepped over it just like you or I would step over a crack in the sidewalk. And I thought, my goodness, that is unbelievable. And then it went into the woods. Well, that whole occurrence took place probably in about a minute and a half. And I said, man, I think I've witnessed an actual Bigfoot. Now, once again, it was early in the morning and it was misty and rain. And so I took those pictures and stuff like that. Well, it took me a while to get them developed because I had a bunch of other. I waited until I finished the rollout is what I did. And then when I got it, I had those 3 pictures. Only 2 of them were not very good pictures at all. They're blurry, you couldn't tell anything. The 3rd one was a pretty good picture. And once again, it was about $200 now. And I didn't have a telescopic lens or anything like that. But you could take a magnifying glass and pull the picture up, and it was you could clearly make out the shoulders and the head of a humanoid appearance. And it was dark, reddish brown hair, and had its back when it's more across that fence. But you could see the shoulders and the head really good in that picture. Well, the show Finding Bigfoot was having a town hall meeting in Texarkana, Arkansas, right there at border town. And they invited me to come to that thing, and they wanted to see that picture. How they heard about it, but they did. And thank goodness I showed that picture to a lot of people. Now, with just the naked eye, it was kind of hard to see, what it was. But you could, like I said, you could take a magnifying glass and pull it up, and it was clear. Well, I was proud of that picture. I thought I had some evidence right there. Well, and during that town hall meeting, the producer of that show looked at it, and she was excited about it. She said, "Do you mind if I take this photo and have it blown up? And if we do an episode on this, we'd like to use it on the episode." And I said, "Well, sure, that'd be fine." So she took the photo, and it was, it was gone. Well, then they told me the date they were going to come. They came to my cabin, spent a whole day there, and Bobo was the main production crew, and they reenacted like that. And I asked about the picture, and the producer said, "Well, I've got some really bad news." She said that picture's missing. And I said, "What do you mean missing?" She said, "Well, we think we know who got it. It was a researcher from Ohio, but he says he didn't get it. He's the last person that was looking at that picture." And so they didn't have my picture. And she said, "Surely you've got a negative or something." And I looked and looked and looked, and I didn't have any. I misplaced them, couldn't find them, or something like that. But my picture was gone. Well, they went ahead and did the show, and it turned out good and everything like that. At the very end of it, she just tried to get me to definitely say that I saw, it was definitely a Bigfoot. Here's what I told her. I said, I am not 100% sure what I saw, but I said I've narrowed it to 2 things. It was either a 7-foot gifted, talented man in a ghillie suit, or else it was I saw a pathetic Bigfoot crossing that fence. So that's only 2 choices I had. But that show aired on Finding Bigfoot in 2012, the episode 1. They did about Southwest Arkansas and the Falcon Monster, and it was on that show of Bigfoot right there. And that is my Bigfoot encounter right there, my Bigfoot sighting that I had. Now, since then, I've always been interested in anything that's paranormal or out of unusual or anything like that. And people start coming to me, my friends, acquaintances, stuff like that. "Well, I've seen this, and this." So, I mean, I got bombarded with them. And there's been lots of Bigfoot activity in southwest Arkansas, southeast Oklahoma, northeast Texas, and northwest Louisiana. And we're right there in that 4 states area, that 4 corners right there. And, you know, I'm sure you're familiar with the Fouke Monster, the Legend of Boggy Creek. It's a cult movie that was made there in Fouke, Arkansas. Well, I'm real close to that. Well, since then, I just got bombarded with all these stories, and I had a couple other stories that I remembered. So I decided that I was going to write a book, and I did. I took the best stories that I thought that I believed to be true, and I knew everybody that was in them. Was the key to the whole book, is that these people I'd known for a while, and now they were in different towns and stuff like that. But of course, like I said, they came to me with these stories. Some of the people wanted me to, you know, didn't mind me using their name and anything like that. And some people, you know, absolutely said, do not, you use the story, but do not use my name and everything. So, you know, anyway, I wrote a book called Bigfoot Sightings, Ghost Stories, and Bigfoot Encounters, Ghost Stories, and UFO Sightings. And it's been, to my surprise, a really good selling book. And it's not very big or anything like that, but it's got good graphics and good pictures and stuff like that. And, you know, I like to share some of the better stories in that book with you, because that was what this is about. And these are Bigfoot sightings of people that I truly.
Alright, this is where I stop.